It's the last week of 2025, which means on my YouTube channel, I'm going to have the 10 best and 10 worst movies of the year. And here on TikTok, I'm going to have my most surprising, most disappointing, and I'm going to be posting it back on YouTube. So before I dive into my list of my 5 most surprising and 5 most disappointing movies, I want you guys, if you're on TikTok, YouTube, tell me in the comments what's your most surprising and disappointing movies of the year. If you're on TikTok, hit the follow button. If you're on YouTube, subscribe, hit the bell, all that fun things. It would do me a huge favor. And with that said, let's dive into the 5 most surprising and the 5 most disappointing movies first. We're going to start with the most disappointing. Let's start with Him, a movie that I was looking forward to because I love movies. I love horror movies, but also I'm a massive football fan, and a football movie could have a lot of potential. And in the end, this movie just kind of felt like a movie that was trying to go too in depth with things, where the story quite literally almost feels like, oh, if you're a fan of a football team, you're a part of a cult. That's literally like the climax of the movie is people like, oh, to play for this football team, you got to be part of a cult. Every team is a cult. And that kind of felt like the theme of the movie was people worship football. And so for a horror movie, football movie, it puts down football, which just was like a weird direction to go, an insanely weird direction to go, because if you're going to make a football horror movie, like the plot of the movie shouldn't be football is demonic. It's dumb, and it wasn't scary. I will say Marlon Wayans had a great performance. There are some cool, gory moments, but overall, the movie just is flat. Leigh Whannell is one of the most talented horror filmmakers of this generation. I was very excited for Wolfman. I love the Wolfman stories. So Leigh Whannell directing this movie should have been a win, and instead it's just boring. From start to finish, literally the only thing that happens is the guy leaning over to his daughter and saying, hey, daughter, I'm going to protect you no matter what. And then he tries to kill her in the last 15 minutes probably, which is the only interesting stuff. But by then, I was so far gone of this movie, and I was just way too bored with it, that overall, it just fell flat when it's supposed to be cool. It's just boring. And for a movie that should have been really cool, it's just a boring movie. I'm a massive fan of the Jurassic World franchise, even the bad ones, Fallen Kingdom, Dominion. I like those movies quite a bit. Jurassic World Rebirth is one of my least favorites of the franchise. Probably is my least favorite of the franchise. This one's just, again, boring. Gareth Edwards, another really good director, is wasted here in this movie. The cast is good, but the characters are not. Like, the only thing that they use to make us care for the characters is, oh, my son died in war. Feel sorry for me. And that's like the plot of the movie. The dinosaur stuff doesn't even happen till the final 30 minutes of the movie in a 2-hour-long movie. It's dull. It gets repetitive. And out of all the Jurassic World movies, these movies are supposed to be entertaining, and this one just wasn't. I saw Osgood Perkins' Longlegs last year, and I loved that movie, so I was very much looking forward to this one. Looked funny, looked like it was going to have great kills, and it was very funny, and it did have great kills. But overall, this one kind of fell flat for me because all that stuff is surface level. When you have a story this weird, it goes very weird directions, and I just didn't like the second half of the movie whatsoever. It feels like it should have been so much more, and Osgood Perkins is like, well, what if we did this? Well, no, Osgood, it's not a good idea to go that direction. Very weird way to end the movie, and it just kind of left me like, oh, that had potential, but nope. But unfortunately, my most disappointing movie of 2025 is Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. I'm a massive fan of the Mission Impossible franchise. This is my favorite franchise of all time. And this movie just definitely was disappointing to me because it very much is a movie that was like, oh, well, let's just rehash everything that we've done in the past. Flashbacks of every other movie. Like, for watching this movie, I'm sure we've seen the other movies. The 2 set pieces in here are incredible. The submarine set piece, the airplane set piece is insane. Both of them are. But overall, the story moves way too slow. There's so many expedition dumps, and we don't really get to the mission until the final hour of this 3.5-hour-long movie. So, unfortunately, Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, one of my least favorite of the franchise, and definitely disappointed me. However, a lot of movies in this franchise I wasn't the biggest fan of until I rewatched them, and I haven't rewatched this one yet, so maybe this will change. But as of now, it's my most disappointing movie of the year. Let's dive into some more surprising movies of the year now, with Holland starting it off, which is a movie that, like, if you read the premise, it sounds very boring. A woman thinks her husband's cheating on her, so she goes investigates. And a lot of people hate this movie. When I watched it, I was like, this is actually pretty interesting. And the third act, well, it turns into a full-fledged horror movie, which is very interesting because I'm a massive fan of horror movies. And I was like, oh, this is actually really compelling. This is more unique than anything I've seen this year. I think lead is very good in here. And overall, a movie that I had a really good time with. And I can't believe that more people didn't really like it like I did. I'm not really a fan of the first Nobody movie, but Nobody 2 definitely surprised me by just being a really fun vacation action movie. I could watch 100 more of these. The first movie tried to play it too serious. This one just knows what it is. It's a campy, fun action movie. Bob Odenkirk is a lot of fun in here and has some really awesome action. So just one of the more entertaining theater experiences I've had this year. The Materialists. Now, a movie about dating shouldn't really appeal to me because I'm not really good in the dating world, but I really enjoyed this movie. It's a movie that explores dating in the modern age, and it goes some emotional places that I think really work. 3 leads in here. Dakota Johnson, really good in here. Side note, I watched the 50 Shades of Grey movies for the first time with my friend, and she's awful in those. She's really good in here. Chris Evans, Pedro Pascal, all really good in here. And it goes some dark places that I think are really fun to explore in this type of movie. So Celine Song's second film is a movie that went under everyone's radar, and I don't think it should. I really, really like The Materialists. Our runner-up on the most surprising movies of the year is Roofman, a movie I saw the trailer and I was like, this is going to be dumb. I'm not a big fan of Channing Tatum. And I watched, and I quite honestly loved. I loved how slow it took things. It allowed every relationship to pan out. The relationship between Channing Tatum and Kirsten Dunst is really good in here. It could get really intense at times, really funny. Peter Dinklage is hilarious in this movie. And overall, it's just a movie I had a really, really good time with. And it doesn't end on a grand shebang, but in such a satisfying way that I loved how developed that they allowed this movie to be. And it's a movie that, in the age of TikTok generation, you don't really get much like this. But my most surprising movie of the year, The Woman in the Yard, a movie that I thought was just going to be a stereotypical Blumhouse movie, and it was. It's directed by a director who I'm not going to name because I can't pronounce his name, but he is a pretty good director, and he directs this one with a lot of style. It's got the stereotypical jump scares and stuff, but it's done in a more interesting way. Shadows are really utilized here in an interesting way. But overall, the story of this movie is about mental health and suicide, which are 2 themes in movies that can be very personal and I think they are very effective in here. And by the time we get to the end of the movie where it wants you to interpret your own ending, I thought it was very effective, and a movie that, for something I shouldn't have liked at all, is in my top 20 of the year and is honestly really effective. So I know a lot of people not a big fan of this movie, but I'm one of the people that did really like it. Tell me again, what are your most surprising, most disappointing movies in the comment section. If you're on TikTok, hit the follow button. Do me a favor. If you're on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. And thank you guys for watching this video.